Starting from zero, the fastest credible way to retire earlier is not finding a stock that doubles. It is getting 4 parts of the plan to work together: your target, your surplus, your growth, and your bridge. The first 3 can make you wealthy enough on paper. The 4th determines whether you can actually stop working on the date you chose. And early does not have to mean retiring at 35. At 58, moving retirement from 67 to 63 buys back 4 years. At 62, moving it forward by 18 months can still change your life. The method is the same. Lower the amount your retirement must support, widen the gap between income and spending, invest that gap consistently, and make sure the money is available when the paycheck ends. Start with the target. $1 million is not a retirement plan. It is merely a number that sounds complete. The real target begins with the life you expect to fund: housing, food, insurance, transportation, healthcare, travel, family help. The ordinary Tuesday that arrives after the retirement party. Then separate that spending into 2 groups. The first is essential: bills that must be paid even during a bad market. The second is flexible: travel, upgrades, gifts, restaurants, and projects that can be delayed without damaging your basic life. Next, subtract reliable income that may arrive later, such as Social Security or a pension. What remains is the part your savings must carry. That sounds obvious, but many people calculate one target for the rest of their lives and miss a major problem. Retirement may have 2 completely different budgets. Before Social Security begins, the portfolio may need to cover almost everything. After benefits begin, the burden may fall sharply. Before Medicare eligibility, health coverage may cost much more than it does later. The target is not one pile, it is a timeline. Do not simply copy your current paycheck and call that the retirement budget. Payroll taxes, retirement contributions, commuting, and work clothing may fall. Healthcare, travel, hobbies, and time at home may rise. Build the target from expected spending, not a percentage somebody attached to your salary. Imagine a household that expects to spend $54,000 a year. Later, Social Security and a small pension may cover $30,000. After those benefits begin, savings need to provide $24,000. But if the household stops working several years earlier, it must first fund a much larger gap. That early gap is where many attractive retirement plans quietly break. Now look at the surplus. Your surplus is what remains after income meets current spending. This is the engine that moves the date forward. Most people focus on investment returns because returns feel powerful. But you cannot control what the market earns next year. You can influence how much money reaches the market in the first place. A permanent $500 monthly expense has a double effect. It removes $6,000 a year that could be invested now, and it adds $6,000 to the lifestyle your future savings must support. That is why fixed expenses matter more than performative frugality. Canceling one coffee does almost nothing if the household is carrying an oversized car payment, expensive housing, high-interest debt, and subscriptions nobody remembers approving. Do not cut everything that makes life worth living. Early retirement purchased through 15 miserable years is a strange bargain. Start with costs that create little joy but keep demanding money every month. Housing, vehicles, debt, insurance, and recurring services deserve the first review. A smaller permanent cost can move the retirement date more than a clever investment ever will. Income matters too. Cutting has a flaw, earning does not. A raise, a better role, consulting work, or one profitable skill can widen the surplus far faster than trimming groceries. The trap is allowing every raise to become a larger lifestyle. Decide in advance where the next increase goes. Part to retirement, part to the bridge, part to enjoying life now. Here is the reason the surplus is so powerful. A household that earns $80,000 and saves $8,000 is not merely moving slower than one that saves $24,000. The second household is also learning to live on less, so the finish line is closer from both directions. That is how the plan stays human. Then comes growth. The purpose of investing is not to make the early retirement story exciting. It is to make the result repeatable. That usually means using tax-advantaged accounts when they fit, capturing an employer match when available, and holding a diversified portfolio whose risk matches the time before the money is needed. It also means paying attention to fees, because small annual costs keep removing money from the account year after year. It does not mean betting the retirement date on one stock, one sector, or the belief that you will recognize the next market crash before everyone else. The closer you get to the date, the more dangerous that fantasy becomes. A large loss at 35 has decades to recover. A large loss just before withdrawals begin can force the exact decision the portfolio was supposed to prevent: working longer or selling during a decline. Before aggressive investing, protect the habit itself. Keep an emergency reserve. Deal with high-interest debt. One car repair should not force you to sell investments or stop contributions for 6 months. Consistency is less dramatic than a winning stock. It is also far more useful. A good early retirement portfolio should be understandable enough to hold during an ugly year. If a 20% decline would make you abandon the plan, the problem is not only the market. The risk level was wrong for the person expected to live with it. This is where the answer changes for someone in their 50s or 60s who hears "retire early" and assumes the entire idea belongs to younger people. You may not have 30 years for compounding, but one additional working year can still do 3 jobs at once. It adds contributions, it removes 1 year of withdrawals, and it shortens the period your savings must bridge. Likewise, reducing one large fixed expense can improve both the current savings rate and the future retirement budget immediately. Starting late changes which levers matter most. It does not make the levers disappear. Now we reach the bridge, the part that a surprising number of retirement plans forget. Having enough total wealth is not the same as having the right money at the right time. Many retirement accounts are designed for later access. Withdrawals before age 59 and a half may face ordinary income tax and an additional 10% tax unless an exception applies. Medicare generally begins at 65. Social Security can generally begin at 62, but claiming earlier usually means a smaller monthly benefit than waiting. Those dates create gaps. Someone may have a healthy retirement balance at 57 and still have no clean way to fund 3 years of living expenses and health coverage. The plan looks complete on one screen because every account is added together. Real life separates the accounts by tax, access, and timing. Bridge money is the part deliberately available before the later systems arrive. Depending on the household, that may include cash, a taxable brokerage account, income from part-time work, a spouse's income, or a carefully verified withdrawal strategy that qualifies under current rules. The exact mix is personal. The requirement is not.
Healthcare deserves its own bridge calculation. Get real premium estimates before quitting. Include deductibles and family coverage. A plan that writes insurance as one optimistic line item can lose a year of retirement the moment the first renewal notice arrives. Before setting a retirement date, write down where each year of spending will come from, not just the total, year by year. How are the bills paid before Social Security? What covers health insurance before Medicare? Which account is used first? What tax bill does that create? What happens if markets fall during the first 12 months? If those questions do not have answers, the date is still an aspiration. This is also why part-time work can be more powerful than it looks. $10,000 or $15,000 of flexible income may cover the early gap, preserve investments during a bad market, and provide health coverage or structure. It does not have to be forever. It can be a bridge with an end date. And remember that working 1 year longer is not always defeat. Sometimes it is the cheapest insurance in the plan. 1 year can add savings, preserve employer coverage, improve a pension or benefit, and remove a full year of withdrawals. The point is to choose that year knowingly, not drift into it from fear. The final step is protecting the date from ordinary bad luck. Run a difficult version of the plan. Returns are weaker. Inflation is higher. A roof needs replacing. Retirement begins during a market decline. One spouse stops working earlier than expected. Do not ask whether every vacation survives unchanged. Ask whether essential spending survives without panic. Then write the response before the problem occurs. Reduce optional spending for a year. Delay a vehicle. Work part-time. Claim a benefit later or earlier, only after comparing the trade-off. Move the retirement date by 6 months instead of abandoning it completely. A plan with no response is merely a forecast. So the path from zero is not mysterious. Define the real target. Create a larger surplus. Invest it simply and consistently. Build accessible bridge money. Then decide in advance how the plan bends when reality refuses to follow the spreadsheet.
This week, write down 4 numbers: your annual retirement spending, your annual reliable income, your current yearly surplus, and the number of years between stopping work and the benefits or accounts you expect to use later. Those 4 numbers will tell you more than another hour spent searching for the perfect fund. In the comments, tell me which part is currently holding your retirement date back: the target, the surplus, the investments, or the bridge. Next, we are taking the next viral retirement strategy in this series and testing the part the headline leaves out. What must be true in your actual household before the promise is safe to follow? Retiring earlier is not one lucky move. It is a date built from decisions.